This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right. Did something. I turned off my Eiffel Tower there. I got to fix that. Anyway, good morning, sir. Last night, the committee put out their poll, and the Canes are outside looking in. And before you came on, the good thing is about being old is that a lot of things repeat. Mm-hmm. And this is my explanation, my basic explanation. Young people didn't live it. Us older people did. The ACC is the Big East. It's another crappy conference. It's the Big Least is what I used to call it back then. And the old Canes used to run roughshod through that conference, left no doubt whatsoever. And they were tested by Oklahoma or maybe FSU that year or Nebraska or whoever was big, Michigan, whatever it was. There was always a game or two outside of that crappy schedule that's where they were tested, and they had to lose early in some of those or whatever, or if they lost late, it hurt them and that kind of stuff, as you lived it. And what I'm trying to explain to the newer fans and maybe some of the older fans that forgot is, brother, nothing's changed. The ACC is the Big Least. Don't do this. Stop losing games. Run the table in that conference so you leave no doubt, because when they look at Notre Dame losing to a Miami and losing to Texas A&M, and then they look at Miami who lost to SMU and then lost to a shitty Louisville, it's like, yo, what do we have here? What do we do? And so that's where I think the Canes have to understand there is no respect for your conference. So until you run the table there, they're not going to, unless Clemson or FSU is one of the elite teams in the country also. That's the one game that the people can accept you either winning or losing. But outside of that, dude, don't lose to anyone else in the ACC. That should be what you should be thinking of. So that way you leave no doubt at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's the unfortunate hand that they were dealt, because I think when Miami made the move to the ACC, they did it for all the right reasons. I mean, the college football was in a different space at that time, and Greg Sankey and the SEC and the Big Ten hadn't sort of formed this evil partnership where they were going to just take over the sport, right, and take over the college football playoff once it expanded to 12 teams. So I think Miami administration did all the things with the right intentions, but unfortunately, the ACC has become another crappy conference because of the way the SEC and Big Ten have taken over the sport. So they're victims, unfortunately, but you're right. I mean, that's the state of the game right now. There is still a belief that the SEC and Big Ten are far superior conferences, when in reality, they're really not. If you look at the results, okay, you go to the end of the season results. Louisville, who lost a bunch of games, beat the living crap out of Kentucky, who took Texas to overtime. You look at South Carolina, who almost beat Texas A&M and at Texas A&M, and Clemson beats them by two touchdowns. A bad Clemson team who lost 5 games. So to me, NIL and the transfer portal have completely changed the game. And what's happened is, unfortunately, the rest of college football hasn't caught up. And because the SEC and Big Ten have a stranglehold on the playoff system, it's really more important what patch you're wearing, what conference patch you're wearing on your jersey, than what you actually do on the field. So Miami, without question, deserves to make the college football playoff. They are, without question, one of the 12 best teams, probably one of the top 8 best teams in college football. But unfortunately, that's not the systems that's in place. It's a system that's unfair because college football has not evolved to accept the fact that the SEC and Big Ten are not superior conferences. They just have a few good teams that help carry that weight. And when the NFL draft comes around, they kind of, well, look at all the draft picks we got. We have to be the best. Well, no, it's not what it was before. When Nick Saban was around and they were dominating college football, Alabama was dominating college football, you could certainly make that argument. But it's not until recently either that Ohio State and Michigan have started to win championships. They were always losing to SEC teams. So to me, there's this false narrative out there that those conferences are elite. The people running the playoff are from those conferences, and they buy all the bullshit and they sell it. And that's what ESPN is doing, and that's what Fox is doing, because they have the biggest TV contracts. And So it's unfortunate for Miami. You're right. They have to go undefeated or one loss. And I said that prior to the season. They don't do that. Even if they beat Notre Dame, they're probably going to be in trouble.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And listen, the way they look at that Clemson South Carolina game, it's a rivalry game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the way they look at it. And in college, there could be an outlier in anything. And that's kind of the way they look at it, that you're not a good conference, but you can have your moment. Any team can have a moment. And that's why I'm saying the Louisville loss is the one that really stings you.
Yeah, because you're at home. Your quarterback throws 4 interceptions, including one at the end of the game when you were in position to kick a field goal and send it to overtime. So they had it in their hands and they gave it away, quite literally.
Yeah, to me, you get by with the SMU loss, but once you lost to Louisville, that's when it opened it up and said, "Well, are these guys gonna be frauds when we get them in, and they're not? They're gonna perform like they did against Louisville and all that." That's why, to me, you're in this position, leave no doubt anymore. So next year, they got to run the table in the ACC.
Yeah, and listen, if you look at the schedule for next year, and I already did a breakdown on my podcast, the Welt Rheaume podcast. Their non-conference schedule. They've got Notre Dame November 7th. I guess that was announced that game was going to be played early in November, which is better for the resume, especially if they're undefeated in ACC play. And you're thinking, oh, they're ranked 7th or 8th. Why aren't they ranked higher, right? I mean, they got Central Michigan, FAMU, and they're going to add a 9th ACC game because, as the commissioner for the ACC announced earlier this year, there are going to be some teams that play 9 games next year and some teams that don't. Ultimately, what they want is 10 Power 4 games. And, Miami was supposed to play, I think, South Carolina next year. South Carolina backed out because of the SEC going to 9 games. So, there will be an extra ACC opponent, I'm pretty sure, added to the schedule here because – who else is available at this point? Everybody's locked into not having 9 conference games. So
what are the ACC tough opponents in there?
Well, they have Clemson on the road, right? And you got to figure that Dabo Swinney, I mean, at some point somebody's going to put a gun to his head and said, you got to use the transfer portal, bro. Like you can't keep operating this way and going 7-5 and thinking high school recruits are going to do it for you. Obviously Florida State was a disaster this year, so I can't even necessarily say that the Seminoles are going to be a tough game when you look at the way Miami knocked them out. It's a very, very easy schedule, in my opinion. I mean, outside of Notre Dame, who is going to have their quarterback back and have a bunch of their dudes back, as they always do, because they recruit the hell out of the country. I mean, it's not. I mean, you get Pittsburgh at home, you get Virginia Tech at home. You got to go on the road to play North Carolina. I still don't think Bill Belichick's going to have his shit together by then. You got to go to Stanford. You get Wake Forest, who look, that guy's done a good job in year 1, but they're not going to have the size and weight on the offensive and defensive lines that Miami does.
On the schedule.
They don't have Virginia on the schedule now, and when I was trying to break down who might be available, I think Virginia was an option, but I haven't looked back at Virginia's schedule to see if they're going to become, if they're still looking for a game, or if they've already been paired up with somebody else.
They should beat Florida State, and they should beat Clemson, dude. I'm sorry.
I mean, there's no reason they shouldn't be undefeated next year if they get the right quarterback in the portal and they get, they fill in a couple of holes here and there. But yes, I know they're losing Ruben Bain and Maui Noah and a bunch of the offensive linemen. But I mean, Mario's been recruiting the number 1 class in the ACC 4 years running. Like there shouldn't be any question about what they have on the roster, and they're going to spend money in the portal again. So I don't see a scenario here where there's an excuse for Miami. I really don't. I think, the ACC is there, very much there for the taking. Virginia spent a boatload of money in the portal. Congratulations to them for a terrific season, but that's not going to last every single year. Or you think Virginia is all of a sudden going to become some sort of national power like Indiana or something? I mean, so I just think, it's not a very difficult schedule. It's a very winnable schedule.
Okay. All right. If they don't make the playoffs, what bowl game are they talking about right now? What's the word on the street?
Yeah, I mean, look, they've obviously been to the Pop-Tarts Bowl quite a bit here the last few years. I think the more likely scenario is that they end up at the Gator Bowl. They get a chance to match up with an SEC team there, like a Vanderbilt, like a Texas. somebody who is right there on the playoff bubble like they are. And then, they get to showcase that game. Every year they rotate kind of where the best ACC team goes because they don't want to always just send it to the Pop-Tarts Bowl, especially if it's the same team. So I can see a scenario where they go to Jacksonville this year.
Okay. All right. Jacksonville. Any other what did you think about the Brian Hartline news to South Florida?
Yeah, interesting move for Hartline. I think, a lot of people assumed that he'd be getting a power forward job, but, this is the next best thing because nobody spends money among the G5s like USF. And Golish, I think, did a really good job there to elevate himself. He's obviously at Auburn now, so this could be the same type of thing for Hartline. He loves coming to Florida, living here, and, What can you do at Ohio State? You've already built a machine there, dude. Like at some point, if you want to become a head coach, you got to make the jump. And I think this is sort of the perfect soft landing pad because he could suck his first 2 years and nobody's going to yell at him. They're going to just say, hey, we're going to spend more money and try to help you because that administration, that's what they do. They support their head coach and they want the best guys there. And he's going to be able to get guys to go to USF for sure. He'll be able to convince playmakers to go there and to have success there.
His thing is just to build the staff. Get the staff, and then
he needs to pair up with a defensive guy.
Yeah, and then have success is what he has to have, so he can take that next step and get because obviously it's a stepping stone job. You know what I mean? USF, like I said there earlier, USF fans shouldn't think like, oh, we got our long-term guy. Unfortunately, this is a stepping stone job. That's
right.
what USF has turned into. It is.
I will say, I think of all the G5 schools, and you got to remember, UCF made the jump right to the Big 12. So it's not impossible to think that when the next round of conference realignment comes around in 2029, that USF, which has all the academic credentials that Miami does, by the way, they're one of those special AAU schools. They're in a Tampa market, a major city in Florida. I don't see how they stay in the American Conference. I would assume somebody, if there's going to be conference expansion and realignment, somebody would come get USF to be the next P4. So maybe that turns into a P4 job while he's there. Maybe he's long gone before that happens. I don't know. I just know that, Golish was there, I think, 3-4 years tops. And, you kind of invest your time, you have a great year, and then you bounce. And that's just the way those jobs are right now.
What happens in Ole Miss now? Because I think they aren't going to sign the guy to a contract or something. What's going on there?
With Pete Golding, it's my understanding he's supposed to take over. Now, I have not heard anything else to the contrary. My understanding was he was going to be the successor, and that's what they told him, and that's what they told the players right after Lane Kiffin decided to depart. So Golding's a guy who's been a really good defensive coordinator. He was at Alabama before. And had success there. And to me, he's a guy that sort of it's what is Ole Miss going to do at this point? Who else are they going to go out and get? Right. This is a guy who can actually keep the players that are there, especially on the defensive side, and convince them to stick around and win with them. And we'll see what kind of offseason they have and who takes over as offensive coordinator, because obviously Lane's going to take a few of those guys with him to LSU, but. Ole Miss isn't in a bad spot. Lane Kiffin actually did a good job sort of changing the narrative around Ole Miss. I mean, four double-digit win seasons in 5 years is pretty damn good.
Check this out. Ole Miss canceled the Pete Golding introductory press conference, and then the head put out, after reconsidering tomorrow's activities, I have decided to shift the focus back to where it belongs. The team, our players, have not received the notoriety they deserve for the remarkable accomplishments this season. They have given their all to Ole Miss, and I want to see the spotlight placed on them, and the mission is in front of us. The time is not about my start as head coach. It's about finishing the season story with a playoff run, and we look forward to discussing the next step in the journey following Sunday's selection announcement. So it was really more about, we don't need to talk about this now. We can do that later, which by the way, is pretty cool on his part.
Yeah, I think as long as the players know and the school, like, you don't need to do this now, right? I mean, they want to focus on the playoffs. They got a couple weeks to prepare for that. I think as long as everybody knows he's going to be the dude, you don't have to go through the whole ceremony.
And I think it's cool that Weiss is going to coach the playoffs, and then then he'll join
LSU.
I actually didn't have a problem. I understand why they booted Lane, but I'm Ole Miss, bro. I would have left Lane there because you have a better chance at having a deep playoff run. I
Mm-hmm.
know he's going to try to take your players and coaches and all that. That's going to happen anyway, dude. It's going to happen
Right.
either way. It doesn't really
I
matter.
mean, Golish is doing that to USF right now. He's taking them all to Auburn. I mean, it's inevitable that the players follow the coach. I mean, James Franklin is taking I don't know how many Penn State guys to Virginia
Right.
Tech.
So
So
let him coach because you might have the greatest run of Ole Miss history. And if you have that, then you've created that. And now the next coach knows that you can create that kind of a winning atmosphere and it makes it even better for you as an organization. Because I looked at it before Lane 7-6, 8-5, 9-4, 10-3, 5-7, 3-9, 9-4, 9-4, 4-8, 2-10. 10-3, 4-7, 3-8, 4-8, 3-9, 8-4, 8-5, 7-4, 7-6. This is what you're going back to, bro.
yeah,
This is what you're going back to before the Lane train. Okay. And you snuck in a 10-win season here or there, but it's 10-3, 10-3. It's not like, you went out there and, absolutely killed it. So to me, I would have kept everything and understand that he's leaving. You got to understand your Ole Miss, dude. No matter how much money you have and all that other stuff, you're still Ole Miss.
I think the problem is just that LSU is one of their biggest rivals, and that's for the athletic director, like for him to say, hey, I gotta stomach this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Pride
And
is
the
you know what.
saying, "Oh, we gave you all this, f him, and all that." So, what are you going to do with the people also that are giving you the money too? You know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm.
I get it, but in the big picture, you might have been better just keeping him there just for the historical purposes of Ole Miss's program, just so you can have the best possible run that you could ever have. Plus, it kind of shows that you're pretty forgiving, or in a way that maybe the next coach comes in and says, "Hey, man, this is a place that maybe I make it my home." You know what I mean? Instead of a stepping stone.
Oh, I wanted to before we finished, I wanted to ask you just do you think there's any chance? I mean, this committee has been batshit crazy, right? With what they've been saying on TV and how they're moving teams up and down, the way that they moved Alabama up past Notre Dame in these last rankings. Do you think there's any chance that if Miami and Notre Dame are side by side, they flip them because Miami won the head?
Zero.
Okay.
Zero. It's Notre Dame, bro. They got a network. They got a fan base. It's Notre Dame. That's why I told you we're in the
Mm-hmm.
same Big East problem, bro.
Right.
Stop losing games in this conference.
Mm-hmm.
Stop losing games in this conference. And you cannot lose these games because you're not going to get the respect. And the Canes knew that back in the day in the Big East, and they never left anything to doubt. And so I know how this game is played, and I
Mm-hmm.
know Miami's going to be outside looking in. So yeah, I don't. It's like I'm listening to Colin Coward. Where was it that we were at Hialeah,
Mm-hmm.
and on television, and he was talking about how the U should be in instead of Notre Dame and this and that. And so I turned to Sean and I go, so if Cowher's not tied to Fox and he's tied to NBC, is he still with the same opinion? And Sean goes, no. And I go, exactly. This is the game we're playing, dude. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the reason Cowher's doing that, it's because it's popular to play the opposite right now and play with people's feelings on that, and then piss
Mm-hmm.
off the Dame Nation and get the
Right.
Hurricane side all lit up. But if he was on NBC, the phony would be saying, well, Notre Dame is tradition, and they're
Well,
the
that's
better team looking right
yeah.
now than, whatever.
I feel sorry for the general public, because they don't understand that. They get so in their feelings about it all, and they don't realize these guys are playing for certain networks, certain conferences, and their opinions are totally shaped on that.
Yeah, exactly. So it is what it is. All right. What do you got going on in the Athletic, my friend, so folks can check you out?
Well, today is signing day, so I'll be watching everything, and I'm sure you and I will have another discussion on recruiting at some point this week. But
Friday,
yeah,
Big Cheese, baby.
So Miami's doing well, and I'm following all the flips. You know, there still is a lot of movement. Yeah, these guys commit early, but I was doing the research last night. I think there's over 400 guys who have flipped commitments since September across college football. So that NIL money, plays a factor. All the coaching changes play a factor. So I'm monitoring that all day. There'll be a ton of coverage.
Who's the QB, Manny?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it could very well be this kid from Arizona State once he jumps in to the portal. It could be somebody we don't even know yet that hasn't jumped into the portal. I think I think there's a lot of interesting situations across college football. And if you think about the Miami situation and how they ended up getting Cam Ward and how they ended up getting Carson Beck, they basically got Cam Ward because of Maui Noah, right? Maui Noah was here, the linebacker, and his brother was here and are coming here, and they played at Washington State. The older brother did, and knew Cam from that connection, so they funneled it that way. And then Carson Beck, obviously, you had the Cavender twins. So I don't know who they're going to go out and get. I don't think the quarterback pool of transfers is necessarily sexy. The Mestamaker kid who's a redshirt freshman at North Texas, he's done a phenomenal job, could get them into the playoff this year. He's going to probably follow his coach, Eric Morris, to Oklahoma State. So somebody will emerge, and Miami will pay him a lot of money to come in and be the quarterback.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. And better yet, catch his work there at The Athletic, because you get Manny's work and everybody else. And you get everything on college football, NFL, NBA, football, soccer. You can get all of that there at The Athletic. Manny, as always, my brother, thank you, sir. We will catch up on Friday when we get that recruiting report.
All right, brother. Take care.
You got it. Manny_Navarro. Visit our friends, Brett and all the great people out there, Ken Graff, Jeff, Jack, just awesome people out there. They know how to get it done. The service is impeccable, okay? Everybody will take care of you there. They've got anything and everything with the Canes logo on it. They've got Miami gear. They've got Miami Dolphins gear. They got Miami Heat gear. They got Florida Panthers championship gear. Get on down there, man. 2655 South University Drive. And you can use our code BIG010. You will get 10% off whether you go in person or online. Use our code BIG010. And remember, when you order over $99, you will get free shipping. Caneswear.com.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.